So it's time to do the mainstream media's job and ask some questions about what's going on in Syria, in particular Eastern Ghouta. So we're hearing a lot about what's happening. We're hearing hundreds of civilians are being killed, that the evil regime is coming to get these people and are indiscriminately targeting civilians. They're blowing up schools, they're blowing up mosques, they're blowing up everything great, stables of ponies and everything. But of course, where is this all coming from? Well, we had to ask. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights is quoted by almost every single mainstream media organization when it comes to statistics on what's happening on the ground in Eastern Ghouta. How many people have been killed, what's been attacked, etc. So what is the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights? One guy in Coventry, UK, who claims to have sources on the ground, but who does he have sources with? This is a guy that has not visited Syria in 15 years, trying to tell us that he has knowledge of what's happening on the ground. And the mainstream media is supposed to question this, at least. You know, if you have a journalist with integrity, the least they can do is question. Who are the sources? Where are you getting this information from? How can you confirm it? Do you have names? Do you have ages? Do you have causes of death? Do you have medical documents to support what you're saying? None of that. Allegation is enough, and then virtue signaling to the moon is what happens as a result of this. So what's been happening? Apparently hundreds of civilians have been killed. We've all seen the photos coming out of the children that have been hit by shells, and I'm not going to go into talking about who was killed and propaganda and the likes of it, but judging by people who put people in cages, literally cages, I'm not even lying, check this out. I don't really attach much credibility to them telling us about how civilians have been killed. We're seeing all of these images come out of Syria of all these children killed, all these innocent men, women, and children killed, but none of the bushy, bearded, Al-Qaeda affiliated terrorists that are carrying out attacks against Syria, that are firing mortar shells, over 1,000 of them in the past 3 weeks, into Damascus proper, killing civilians. We're not hearing the civilians killed on the side of the government of Syria. We're only hearing about the civilians killed inside Al-Qaeda occupied territory, and that's what it is. So who are we taking for a source? We are depending upon Al-Qaeda to tell us the truth about what is happening on the ground in territory they have illegally occupied, and then from that territory, because the war is being lost on their side, are firing shells into Damascus. Now I report on Gaza, and I report on every shelling that Israel carries out upon the civilian population of Gaza. When I report upon this, I report upon where the person was from, where they died, how they died, what age they were, what their name was, etc. I have to then go forth and state where I got this information. But are we seeing this with Syria? So where's the evidence? Why is it that all of these mainstream media organizations claim to have evidence about what's happening and putting figures out? They don't have them. It's impossible to get them, and impossible to get them with reputable sources. How do they know which bomb hit what? Why are we not asking basic questions? Who, what, where, when, why, how? Like, just these basic questions, elementary school level questions. So you don't need to be an experienced journalist in order to ask these sort of things. I mean, what would be the purpose of Assad targeting and killing his own people? What would be the objective? Pretty much won the war now. What would be the objective? Well, maybe we have to look at how the Al-Qaeda affiliated groups were firing into Damascus. That's why this offensive started. But no, the mainstream media comes up and takes the claims of Al-Qaeda over the legitimate government of Syria. Furthermore, why is it every single time they say Aleppo fell, Aleppo is falling, Aleppo is burning, Holocaust Aleppo? We saw this when the operation to liberate Aleppo was undergone. And then what happened? All of these fabricated stories about bombing hospitals, All of these fabricated stories about indiscriminately targeting civilians were proven to be false by independent journalists who were on the ground, who then went into these areas or investigated it at the time. And all of these accusations then were pushed away. The mainstream media hasn't focused on Aleppo. Well, if you look at Aleppo right now, the state of Aleppo is they're able to practice their religion freely. It's a safe haven, and in all the government areas it's a safe haven. If they were massacring their own people for no reason, why aren't they massacring their own people in Damascus proper? Why aren't they massacring people now in Aleppo after they took it over? Are you not asking yourself this question? Isn't it very, very obvious? I think so. Just to finish off this video, I'd like to add in a little bit of these so-called moderate rebels that are fighting against the Syrian government at the moment, and it sums them up pretty well. It's them firing at a civilian airliner landing in Damascus. These are the sort of people, the head-cutting, heart-eating fanatics that want a caliphate to fit them and their religious extremist ideology in Syria. That's who we're taking information from. That's who we're supporting. Don't buy this rubbish. Because the mainstream media is not doing their job. So it's on us to ask questions. I'm not going to go through every single instance. I'm not going to go and debunk everything piece by piece, because other journalists have done this and inevitably will do this. What I'm asking people is ask a question. Ask a question. That's all I'm asking.